Welcome to another episode of Dad Up, everyone. Thank you guys very much for joining me. I'm excited for the individual I have on today. He and I have just recently connected, and he's got a lot of stuff going on with him and his family, and I'm excited for him to share a little bit about that. But my good friend Brian Beckstrand has joined me on Dad Up. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's dive right in because you've got a lot on your plate with your family and the things you guys are doing now, and the stuff you guys got going on, I guess, in your backyard. But I'm really excited to hear more about that. But let's dive into a little bit of backstory about you, kind of how you grew up, how you got into the things that you're doing now. And then obviously, this is a dad podcast, so I want to know about your kids, your family as well.
All right. Well, I grew up in St. George, Utah. Come from a large family, 10 siblings. So everything was kind of really competitive growing up. Just we played a lot of sports. So I have six brothers. And so I'm right in the middle. So I kind of got bullied by the older ones and then kind of got to pass that on to the younger ones a little bit. And just like I said, grew up playing a lot of sports, played high school basketball and in college. So just always trying to be athletic and in shape and active. And then fast forward to when I got married and started having kids, I just kind of found out that I just couldn't go, 3 nights a week, 3 hours every night to go play basketball with my buddies because I had kids at home. And so kind of transitioned into just figuring out a way that I could still be active and physical and healthy, but also, be there as a father and a husband. And so we just came across kind of like Spartan races in the beginning is how we got started. Me and my wife ran a Spartan race, had a ton of fun doing it. And then my kids just kind of got into the show American Ninja Warrior. And I had watched previous episodes before. I watched the old Japanese versions, just kind of like a little bit here and there. But then when my kids got excited about it, I mean, they were watching it. They knew who the competitors were and, where they came from, where they fell last season, how they did. They kind of just got wrapped up into it. And then I kind of got excited about it. And I really wanted to do something because being competitive growing up, I was that guy that was watching the show saying, I could do that. That looks easy. What I could do that. But I didn't want to be that armchair quarterback that just sat there and said those things. I kind of wanted to back it up. So I really just started building some things in my backyard that were on the show just to see if I could do it. And the fun thing about that was because it was in my backyard and I was out there doing it, my kids were always out there with me. So no matter what I was doing, they wanted to do it. No matter how hard or easy it was, they were just always by my side. And so that's how we got started into Ninja Warrior. And so I applied for season 7 and time passed and I didn't even think anything of it. I thought, I'm not going to get called. They get thousands of applications. And then one day out of the blue, just got called to compete. And I went and competed, did really well. And then I just got a bug. I just got the itch. I just, based on what I did and what I had in my backyard, I was like, this isn't enough. I need more stuff. It just got crazy. It grew from there and there, like every space in my backyard that I could find to build obstacles, we just expanded and expanded. And so that's kind of what took us to where we are now today.
That's awesome. How old are your kids when you started building the stuff in your backyard?
So my oldest was 9. And then I had a 7-year-old, 9, 7, and 5 were the 3 boys. And then a daughter that was 3 and then a little baby.
All right. And how old are they now?
So the oldest is almost 22. So they're 21, 19, 17, 16, and 12.
Okay.
So quite a while we've been doing it now, about 12 years or so.
That's cool. And, in your time doing that and having your kids out there kind of, helping you kind of playing on the stuff while you're kind of working and all that, what did you learn about parenting through that process?
To me, I learned a lot about, obviously failure and successes because as we built things and we tried them, obviously we weren't good at them in the beginning. And we didn't accomplish everything the first time that we tried it. Now, even though there were some things that we could do right away, not everything transitioned into just being so easy. So it really helped me teach my kids how to fail and have it not be the end of the world. Like, hey, we have multiple tries at this. We're gonna overcome this. This is just an obstacle that's in our way, and we're gonna find our way around it because we need to get to the net. And guess what? Once we get through that, there's gonna be another obstacle, and so we need to overcome that one as well. And so it really just helped me kind of establish this: obstacles are not there to block us, there to help us improve in life. And we need to learn how to figure out how to get past those.
Oh, that's great. I think that's a great analogy, and something that obviously through the American Ninja Warrior stuff that all the different obstacles you got to go through. I mean, it's just like that, right? What you were just talking about. It's like just because there's an obstacle there doesn't mean we can't overcome it, and that's awesome. Were you just on season 7? Or were you on other seasons?
So I was on season 7 and 8. And then my wife was actually on seasons 10 and 11. And then I also competed on season 13 and 15 with my son Kai. And then my younger son Luke was on season 16. And then my wife and Luke and Kai and Baylee were all just on season 17, the one that's currently airing on NBC.
So you got 3 of them on the show right now. That's awesome. And you're just you're cheering from the sideline, I'm sure.
Yep, I'm just there as kind of the dad, coach, cheerleader, hold your bag, your water, whatever they need, I'm there for them.
And how do you how do you as a dad, as a parent, um, how do you process that experience just being on the sideline watching your kids? What's that like for you as a dad?
For me as a dad, honestly, um, so they had an American Ninja Warrior Junior when Kai was 12. So Kai's 19 now. He was 12 at the time. And so I had to coach him at an early age. And to be honest, I wasn't sure what that was going to be like. Um, but it was definitely more mentally stressful for me as a parent on the sideline than it was when I was a competitor myself. Just having grown up playing sports and competed on big stage, I played in a couple state championships. I played in a national championship game. So I was kind of used to that pressure for myself, but I wasn't sure if I had prepared my kids to the point where they would be ready for those. Cause it's a big stage. I mean, the lights are on, cameras are on you. You're taking on the course by yourself. There's no team to say, well, I did my part, but the team kind of let us down. It's all just on you. And so for me as a parent on the sideline, it's just hoping that I did enough for them to prepare them for the moment that they're about to take on.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's got to be fun for you to watch, and it's a kind of a proud dad moment for you to be watching them compete like that. But there's also got to be that side of you that uh, has that, I guess, that fear in the reaction they will have if they fail, or how they will handle the failure if it comes. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like if one of them, obviously they've been on multiple seasons. There's been obstacles that they have not been able to overcome. And how have you supported them as a dad when they've failed at a certain obstacle course?
Um, so they've definitely had falls along the way. Not everybody can win every year, and sometimes no one wins. I mean, that's just the nature of the show. But there's definitely been moments, especially with Luke and Kai, just because of kind of the level that they've risen to in the sport. So the expectations are super high on them. And so they have a lot of added pressure, not just to do well, but to kind of be elite. You hear the announcers kind of talk about they're one of the favorites or they're one of the fastest. And so when they're not, sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow when it doesn't add up that right. And so for me, the biggest thing is just kind of encouraging them and letting them know that, that one moment doesn't define how they are as a ninja warrior, as an athlete, as a person. Again, it's just an obstacle. That fail is something that we're going to grow from, we're going to learn from. I kind of talked to them about, what did we do wrong? Maybe we didn't do anything wrong. There's such a small margin of error in the Ninja Warrior competition scene that, one misstep or one misgrab and the whole run is over so fast. And so sometimes it is hard to kind of break down what went wrong. But it's mostly just being there for them and just knowing that, like I said, that one moment of failure does not define them at all as a person.
Mm.
So that
That's
just kind of hitting home with that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great message and a great way to support them. Um, when it comes to those obstacles, gosh, it seems like every year or every season, I should say, um, they come up with new obstacles, new things that you have to go through, or new obstacle course that you got to go through. Do you update those in your backyard?
We don't update them in the backyard anymore. The backyard's kind of a thing of the past for us, just because we own a gym now in St. George.
Got it.
Um,
That's
so
right.
we so we've got the indoor facilities, which, I mean, St. George is in the desert. It's super hot in the summertime, and so it's nice now that we've been able to come inside and train. But we definitely update as far as the show goes, and not just the show. I mean, there's just other gyms out there and other ninjas who are so creative in what they come up with, and so you kind of see people online doing these crazy things, and so anything that we can do to challenge us and push the limits of this sport, then we try to recreate in our own gym. Just to see if we can do it, but also, again, to put us in that state of readiness. So no matter kind of what the show throws at us, we've either done stuff that's harder or similar, and they're ready to do it no matter what.
What's the message to your kids as far as their future? Because I know obviously this is just a game show. This is not something that's going to be that they can necessarily sustain as far as financially, in the future. What's your message to them as far as their career paths when they, obviously you got older kids now, they can't just rely on a game show to get them through life. So what's the message to them as far as what they want to do with their lives going forward?
I mean, there's a couple messages. One, obviously, like we talked about earlier, the analogy as far as like obstacles in life. This is a great starting point for, early failures in life, so that as they become adults, if they have a failed business or, don't get that job that they went for, um, that they understand that, again, that those failures aren't going to define them, that's just the next step, and they just need to find the next thing. And so I'm hoping that those failures in life that are a little more meaningful won't impact them in a way that it gets them down or has a negative impact on them. And then two, just being a good person. The great thing about the show and the successes that my kids have had, it's given me an opportunity to kind of teach them how to be good winners as well as good losers. And so, because you have to be a good athlete and a good person in both of those scenarios. And just with Kai, so Kai was the season 1 champion of the junior show.
Okay.
And so at a very early age, he was looked up to by all these other kids. And so I really focused on him and tried to push this idea that it's like, okay, you're winning these races, but I don't want you up on that finish line, pumping your fist or banging your chest and acting in some kind of way, that doesn't represent good sportsmanship. Yeah.
Mm.
I want you, if you win the race, I want you to turn around and cheer on the person that's still coming through the course. They're still trying to finish. So before you acknowledge, Matt and Akbar and the host, and you do your whole celebration, I want you to recognize the competitor that you just beat or lost to. And just like I said, just be a person overall, and understand that there's someone else, for every success that you had, someone else just got beat, and they may not be feeling all that great. And so for him to be, able to be encouraging even after he's beat somebody, it goes a long way, I think, to those people that are in those situations, versus, if he was just overly cocky and kind of just all about me, it kind of sends a little bit different message. So I've been able to do that at a young age with them, that to kind of instill. And then on the flip side, I've had, competitions where they've done really well, and then they'll miss 1 point because, like I said, the Ninja Warrior world it can come down. Wins and losses can come down to a half a second, a missed grab, an extra backswing, and so. Just a specific example with Luke, I had this competition and he was, just flying through the course. He's doing stuff that just people just dream about doing eventually. And he just looked amazing. And he just missed 1 point at the very end, and it cost him. And he wanted to hang his head, and he wanted to be, upset and mad. And in the meantime, all of these kids are running up to him, wanting to congratulate him on how good he did. And he wanted to walk away from him. So I had to kind of grab him and say, hey, no matter how you feel about that one move, these kids are looking at your entire run and all the amazing things that you just did. And they want to tell you good job. I said, so if you want to hang your head and kind of sulk about what happened, we're going to do that after we acknowledge all these people and all these kids that are looking up to you. So there's nothing to hang your head about. We can talk about the failure later, but right now we're still going to celebrate all of the good things that happened on that run.
Oh, that's good. That's a great message to your kids. I think obviously there's a lot of issues with especially sports nowadays with younger kids, whether they're in high school or junior high, playing rec ball, playing travel ball. There's a lot of kids out there that don't understand what true sportsmanship is, and it goes a long ways to have a parent, a dad, a mom, or even a coach acknowledge being good sports about what they just about the team that they just competed against, being good sports to them. And for you as a dad, showing good sportsmanship, not only teaching that to your kids, but also showing it in the things that you do, modeling it so they can witness it from dad as well. Not just him speaking it, but him actually living, showing them what it's like to be a good sport is awesome. And I'm sure your wife does the same thing as well.
Yeah, 100%. It's great because, like I said, as being a competitor myself, I've had moments where I fell. Season 8, I felt was one of my strongest seasons. I had one of the fastest times in qualifying, and then fell in the semis on an obstacle that I completed the night before. And I was sick to my stomach as a competitor. But my kids were there. My kids are watching, and all they care about is the show. They're just excited to see their dad up on these obstacles. And again, it was one of those moments where, I kind of had to suck it up a little bit and, put my emotions to the side and be there for my kids to kind of show them that, again, they're looking at how cool it was that I was on the show, and they got to look up to that when they were young. And here I am upset that I fell on some obstacle that, in the long run doesn't matter, but it was a great teaching moment for me in how I should have handled myself. And then able to, moving forward into them being competitors, I could now, kind of recall that situation for me and help them learn in that same context.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. For Brian, for a dad out there that's listening that maybe he's struggling to connect with his kids or his child, what's one practical thing he can do to start building that bond?
Um,
Because you're good at it. I mean, you're good at connecting with your kids. I mean, you did it through their whole lives, especially through just the connection of building the obstacle course in the backyard. I mean, that was a great way to help build the connection and the bond with your kids. But there may be, I know plenty of dads. I've coached thousands of them when it comes to just trying to reconnect with their kids that feel like they've lost that connection. What can you say to dads out there that may be struggling with that?
Honestly, I think just being there for them, just a presence, having a genuine presence and a genuine care for what they're into. Because I think kids can see through the fakeness.
Hmm.
And, I grew up playing basketball my whole life. I loved basketball. When I was a kid, I was going to the NBA. I was going to do all these great things. That's how much I loved it. And, so of course I dreamed that my kids would play basketball and do these things. And to be honest, I had 3 boys and not one of them plays basketball. They just, none of them like it. And, and honestly, in the beginning, I was kind of like, oh man, this is not good. They don't like to do anything that I do. But um, at the time, I was transitioning to Ninja Warrior, and so that I could be there for them. And so it wasn't that they didn't pick up basketball; they just picked up what I was doing. And so I wasn't playing basketball when they were at an age that they should have played basketball. I was doing Ninja Warrior. And so I was just there. And so I think just being present. And like I said, I genuinely cared about their successes in Ninja Warrior. But at the same time, I was honest in their performance. And the great thing about the sport that we're in is because I always told my wife, she said, well, why don't you be a coach? Why don't you coach your kids? And I never wanted to be that coach because growing up playing, I always worried about that coach that coached his own kid, because then you always have the talk back of, well, he's only playing because he's his kid, which sometimes is true and sometimes is not. But that stigma comes with coaching your own kids. And the great thing about Ninja Warrior is I can coach my own kids because there's not a team that I'm leaving behind. So I can put all my focus on my kids. I can genuinely care about how they succeed. And then at the end of the day, it's all on them. And so the successes, and so I could be straight with them as far as, hey, if this is where you want to be, then the ownership is going to come on you. You want to be at the top, you got to put in the work. You don't have a team to fall back on. Your off days are going to be all on you. So those days where you don't feel like going into train or pushing yourself, then you're going to see what the results of that are. And so I just think making that bond and just being real with your kids and honest with them it goes a long way with them, just the honesty.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And it's interesting. What you just mentioned there just made me think of something. When it comes to that, talking about making sure your kids stay motivated as far as having to train, having to practice. Um, there are those days, I like to run, and there's plenty of days where I get up to go for a run and I really do not feel like going for a run. But I know if I don't get this run in, this could impact my training for what my next race is. So for your kids, there's probably those days where they wake up and go, Dad, I just do not feel like going to the gym today. I'm just tired. I don't want to do it. I mean, what's your message to them when they come to you with that issue?
Um, Again, it's just being able to be honest with them, knowing that, hey, if you don't want to go in, you don't want to put in the work, you've got whatever competition coming up, there's going to be someone out there putting in the work. And then I just do it by example. There's days that like you said, that where you don't want to get up and run. There's days I don't want to get up and run. There's days I don't want to go train. And there's been several days where, we have a treadmill at my house. I prefer to run on the treadmill so I can kind of, again, be there if I need to be. I can jump off a treadmill at any time. But it'll be 11 o'clock at night and my kids are down playing video games, and, I'm going down to the treadmill and they're like, are you going to run right now? And I'm like, well, yeah, because this and this happened throughout the day and I didn't get to run. And this is the only time that I could get it in. So kind of like you said, by just leading by example, seeing that's like, man, there's days that I don't want to run, but at 11 o'clock at night, I'm going to get it in to make sure that not only they see it, but then I get it in as well. And so I kind of have to push through the days that I don't want to go train so that I am that example to them.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Um, without giving, spoiler or anything like that, when it comes to your wife and your son and your daughter being on the show now, uh, how did they do? Can you kind of like, did they do well? Are they,
So they've just shown the qualifying episodes. So my wife and daughter and my 2 sons were on different episodes. My wife did okay. She fell on rolling logs, but my daughter, it was her first time on the show. She made it to the second to last obstacle, but she made it there far enough that she actually made it to the semis.
oh,
So she'll
cool.
be on an episode on the 21st in 2 weeks, the same episode that the boys will be on. So they'll all be on the semis, because last week was Kai and Luke's episode, and they actually finished 1 and 2 with the fastest times on the course
Oh,
last
that's
Monday
awesome.
night. And Kai got the mega wall, so he earned another 10,000 for getting up the mega wall, which is the prize for that. And so they've got the two fastest times going into the semis. So,
Oh, that's awesome. That's definitely a proud dad moment right there.
so
I mean,
100,
look at,
100%.
yeah, look at the smile on your face, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, cool. For my listeners, viewers, want to look you guys up, learn a little bit more about you guys. Where's the best places for them to do that? And if they're ever in the St. George area, the name of your gym and all that kind of stuff.
So the Grip Ninja, that's the name of our gym. We actually have two locations in St. George, and the Grip Ninjas on Instagram or Facebook. Those would be the two places to look us up. Obviously, my kids have their own Instagram handles as well. Kai, the Mohawk Ninja. Most people know him by the Mohawk because they always had Mohawks when they were kids and kind of stuck with that. But yeah, just on Instagram and Facebook at the Grip Ninjas is where you'll see a lot of that stuff. So,
All right. And you guys have your family page too, right?
so I'm Beckstrand Family Ninjas is my page.
Right.
And I try to, I'm not huge into the social media stuff. Just my kids like to do everything, but they're fortunate enough that they're not glued to their phones doing social media all the time. So
That's
another
good.
reason we got into this is so that they're, kids are being active and getting out there and being healthy versus staying on the screens all day long. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Do they plan to continue with it? I mean, is there any talk of them kind of hanging up the shoes as far as it goes with competing?
not right now. I think they're just kind of riding the success. Like you said, it is a TV show. And so every year it's kind of like it's up in the air whether it comes back for another season. So as far as the show goes, they'll keep going as long as they keep getting invited. And the nice thing about the show is it's kind of spawned these leagues now. So there's a couple leagues across the country so that if you're not lucky enough to get picked for the show, you don't feel like you wasted all this training for an entire year and not to get picked. And so there's leagues now that a lot of people participate in. We participate in a couple of them. And so my kids travel all over the country and now all over the world. Luke and Kai have been to Dubai and the Philippines,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
it's taken them a couple places. We're going to Sweden in September, all for the 100-meter OCR World Championships. And so Kai currently is the world record holder on that course that he set back in Dubai.
Oh,
And
that's
so
awesome.
it's the ninja world is kind of taking them into the OCR world, and it's just kind of opening up doors for them. And so as long as they're young and healthy enough and at the top of their game, they'll continue to do as long as it's a part of the world out there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'm happy for you guys. I'm happy for you guys' success. I'm happy for your kids as far as how well they're doing. Obviously, you and your wife got to be proud parents to have your kids be doing as well as they are. So that's awesome. And I'm really looking forward to continuing to watch your guys' journey and how it goes over this season. I'm excited to check that out. So keep up what you're doing, brother. And thank you very much for being on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and you'll have to come check us out when you're up in the area. So,
Yeah, I will. When I'm out St. George in October, I'm definitely going to look you guys up and definitely have to come by the gym and kind of check it out.
awesome.
Well,
Looking forward
listen,
to it.
yeah, absolutely. Listen, guys, this has been another episode of Dad Up. I want to thank my good friend Brian Beckstrand for being on the show. Please make sure you check out what he's doing. All the links to what his whole family is on the show notes below, so you can make sure you can check them out there. And make sure you guys go to American Ninja Warrior on television. Watch what his family is doing on there as well. And listen, if you are not yet subscribed to my show, please make sure you do that so you don't miss any of the awesome guests that I have on each and every week. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of Dad Up. Wow, another amazing episode in the books. So much was shared, and I'm truly grateful my guest was able to pour into you to help you elevate your dad game and really dad up. Make sure you bang that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're here, please don't forget to leave me a rating and a review. I always appreciate the feedback. And one last thing, don't forget, your role as a dad is one of the most important roles you have. So if you need a little help or have questions,
Don't hesitate to reach out to me on my website at daduptribe.com or at my Instagram page at daduppodcast. Until next time, everyone, dad up.